Good evening. Welcome to Where Lavender Grows. This is Josh the Posh, and we're here today to talk about Gloria Ann Covington. Um, so, if you remember from my last episode, if you care to go back and listen to that, this is a connected case taking place in a similar area in Amarillo, Texas, and um, this is where we want to kind of recognize uh, connected cases and also recognize the victims involved in this and the victims and their families. Um, this one is s- one that I care about and one that I hope that we can together bring honor. Hey, Arctic. Hey, it's good to see you. Uh, bring honor to the lives of those who have been lost. Um, and so we're gonna go forward. I just want to say, I want to keep it low key here. I want to be kind and center victims. Hey, Sensei, how are you doing? Oh, it's been a while to see you, Sensei. Um, and so we want to center victims. We don't want to get into like victim blaming or hate or wild theories and things that kind of take us out of um, evidence-based and evidence-based material that goes kind of wild. I'm really just want to respect families, and I don't want the perpetrators in the case to have their laugh or whatever. Especially some, if they watch uh, uh, true crime and get sensationalized by it and stuff like that. So welcome to Where Lavender Grows. Again, I'm just here to really bring attention to this case. And this case was hard to really find material for. And so, because it could be because of several lifestyle considerations, it could be it's the north part of Amarillo. This is up in the Texas Panhandle in a very rural area. And so I want to bring attention to cases like Gloria's and really help us understand who Gloria was. And we're going to be going through. I listened to a podcast earlier from the Amarillo PD, and they had Gloria's three daughters on, and I really felt, oh my, if so, I encourage anybody after this to go and listen to the Spotify episode for Gloria's. It's episode 3 of um, of the Amarillo PD podcast. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with a little bit about Gloria. Gloria is native to Amarillo. She was born there February 4th, 1952. She actually went to, and I'm going to show you a little map here a little bit later of where Hilltop Elementary is, because this is where the crime took place. and so, or where her body was found. And so she was actually, she went there to that elementary school. She also lived in California for a time. I didn't find much information about that, but I did hear from that podcast of her three daughters, and she has some grandkids. And you're gonna hear her daughters. I won't play it here on this podcast, but if you go through, you'll hear her daughters kind of struggle through tears to talk about their mother, Gloria. Um, they really paint a picture of her as someone who raised her kids right, and she never looked to hurt anyone. Um, and so uh, when she was found in the condition she was found, it really hurt. Uh, and you're she they really struggle to one of the daughters there just really struggles. It appears maybe she moved out at Amarillo, but she was like she really wants this case solved so that she could resolve uh things because she was like I'm really afraid in Amarillo. I really um uh she just she expresses how much she just maybe because of trauma and because of this incident she could not she may not be able to move back until this is solved. And so this is something very important to both, and you could hear it in them. Some a couple of the daughters just couldn't speak. It looks like they had a spokesperson there, but they describe her as someone who she walked everywhere, and that's something important to me. Um, because I don't drive, and I walk and take the bus in a lot of places. But she walked to work. She walked to everywhere. They described her as someone who, for example, they had a relative that was going through a hard time, and she would walk uh, across the city to a shelter to or um, food harvest or um, a food bank. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Uh, that she would walk. Uh, yes, and I'm about to get that to that sensei. She did pass away in August, and this is going to have a twist for my last episode. And oh, you walk everywhere too, sensei. Yeah. Um, but they describe her going to a food bank to get food for that relative, walking there and walking all the way back so that they would have something to eat. And that touched me in a way because I walk the city too, and um, through I walk through my town, and my town is not too different than Amarillo in a lot of respects. And sometimes it can be dusty, it could be hot, it could be. But this person, they described her as someone who really was independent, took care of her kids, um, and uh, was there for them. So much so that they have an emotional reaction to this. Some 20, I think at the time of the podcast, it was in 23, some 25 or 26 years later, they are having a hard time getting through the podcast. But it was something that the detectives there really wanted to bring the family in um, and uh, and really let them have a voice in this. And so this is a very so I encourage you to go. I'll put a link in the description of where you can go and listen on Spotify. I think it's also on Apple and all the other times there. So that is kind of who she is. And this is uh, s- I really wanted to start off with her at the center of the story and um, really give you a picture of who she was. Um, uh, just to hear her family talk about her and the area here, being in a rural area in Texas is not easy. And and depending where you are in the socioeconomic stratosphere, it could be harder for you than others. Uh, and vice versa. So that's where I'm coming from with Gloria's story here. And it really took a toll on me when I found out about this case through actually the first case I did, I think 2 weeks ago, with Dorian, a 9-year-old boy who went missing. And you might go, okay, what does this have to do? Well, this it takes place in the same area and a year later. Last episode, I talked about Dorian, and we're gonna get to your questions here, Sensei, here too. Dorian, from my previous was at that same location, the Hilltop Park. Um, it's near a school. He's the one who actually found Gloria's body, uh, and he found it behind the North Branch YMCA. It's now called the Charles E. Warford Activity Center. Uh, and she was found partially clothed with a white shirt and a red sock. Um, in another location, the detective would indicate that her other clothing, a black wig, black jeans, they were found near the location of another homicide. So you're like, what's going on here? And this gets even more complicated as we go uh, through the dynamics of the crime here. But he went missing in his own neighborhood um, uh, during a bicycle ride. Some reports say that he was going after snacks, but he was never seen again. Um, oh, thank you, Sensei, for watching the last one about that. Yeah, Dorian really got to me on this, and there's really no information about really how, the circumstances surrounding his disappearance. There's really limited information about his disappearance. But the odd thing here is he's the one who discovered Gloria's body a year prior to his disappearance. So this is something that really um, uh, I found this case to be really telling and grabbing at my heartstrings because a 9-year-old boy, he was at the hilltop. Let me show you the location here. This is the hilltop location here. The hilltop. Here's the elementary school, and here's the YMCA. What it was at the time in the '90s. It's now the Charles E. Warford Activity Center. And this here over here, I guess there's two parks. I'm imagining the park on the left-hand side here. Um, this is Hilltop Park. You'll see Hilltop Bar. Boys have a straight bar. The girl bar. Oh, uh, let me show. That's a good point, Sensei. The boy, in the Charles project, I hadn't seen it anywhere else in the newspapers, but in the Charlie project description of the scene, it described the bike he was riding as a girl's or a girl-like bike. And that may have to do with the angled bar. I know I had several bikes that both had the straight bar across, and as a kid, and ones that had the angled bar. I don't know if I ever thought too much of it. But this case here, like I said, the park over here uh, to the left, I think is Hilltop, and that's how it's described in the newspapers. And it says she was found behind the YMCA, and I imagine if he's playing over here in the Hilltop Park section, this over here is Hines Memorial Park. I guess over here to the right, you can see a little baseball diamond, I guess, and a little park and bathroom. Maybe there's a fountain or something. I've never actually been up this far north in Amarillo, um, in this area, but it might be interesting to visit um, and kind of see the scene here. But um, I just put myself in as a boy of 9 years old, and going out with friends. Um, oh, no problem. I appreciate that, Sensei. I'm not sure. I never found where exactly the food or shelter bank was. Um, but I have another map kind of showing where she was last seen and kind of some areas where she was. But I couldn't imagine being with several of my friends playing playing baseball, running, playing tag, playing. I remember playing when I was young. I would play pog, marbles. I don't know. I'm very dating myself to the 1980s, I guess here. Uh, but I could picture being Dorian in this area with friends, uh, doing what kids do, and 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 this already setting this up like he's. I'm all. It almost sounds like I'm setting up for this being a missing person that he was abducted from here, but he wasn't abducted from here. Uh, this was where he came across. He and his friends came across um, uh, a dead body. Came across a Gloria. Um, and I never found the exact location. I'm thinking somewhere, um, somewhere to the south, and I don't know. This is kind of new on me here. I guess you can't see my pointer. Um, I'm gonna have to figure out how I can do a pointer on this screen here at some point. But down, if you look at the red circle, I can imagine to the left or to the east of those of the activity center where the red circle is. I imagine her being found somewhere in those trees or somewhere in that. Although it describes the northwest corner, so it may actually be closer to the 20th Avenue. Um, and this is kind of where I'm going with this is um um yeah, he was 8 when he found her, 9 when he went missing. 9 years old when he went missing, I guess, is where he was at that particular time in the in that he had been playing around and came across her body and then went missing in October the following year. So I guess he was about 9 years old, 8 or 9 in that age range. Uh, and I can't help but wonder, especially with the murders, the newspaper said there had been within her murder had been 3 others within a 2-month period, including a another murder a month after hers with Linda Gale Jackson, I believe, and I'm gonna do hers next week. Linda Gale Johnson. Apparently, if I understood correctly, her clothing, Gloria's clothing, was found within 200 to 300 feet of the other murder victim of Linda's body. Not at the time of her murder, but that's the location of her murder was her extra clothing was found there. And so, and you may ask the wig, the black jeans, everything there. Uh, if you listen to the Amarillo Police Department podcast, they're going to get into a discussion because they use the word prostitute in it, and so do the newspapers clippings um, for Gloria's uh, 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 murder here. They describe her as a prostitute, and her daughters push back on that. Her daughters push back on the label on it, and rightly so. In it, and they go through a discussion about how in the 90s there were particular implications with the label that they would have, and sometimes that could lead to uh, and I'm sure Arctic and Sensei could probably speak to this to some degree. Seen many cases where um, there's a level of dismissiveness. Not saying that that's the case here for the investigators here, but it could be why attention isn't brought to this case and seen in more newspapers and in more media. Uh, but her daughters really describe her and go into an impassioned description of her, like I said before, that they didn't know her like that. That she was their mother, and and for them, she showed up as a mother. She made sure they were fed. They remember good times with her, and um, and so she's more than just the label of that um in in the sex work industry. And for whatever reasons in the reasons that the industry exists or the reasons that she's doing it, especially in a rural town in in the panhandle of Texas. Um, and a lot of people don't realize this. I've This is a hub of human trafficking in this panhandle area. I wonder if that has to do a lot with Route 66. A lot of people are missing in this area, kids, adults alike. A lot of theories. I've done several true crime clubs in the area where we covered missing kids and not too far away from Amarillo as well. And so this is both a case that in my mind, it's hard for me to separate Dorian and Gloria's case and maybe even Linda's case there. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. But I wanted to show you a little bit more to describe uh, um, Gloria's last seen location was over here to I believe, the east of the location of the location. Um, you'll see the activity center in the far left hand corner. Um, and her last scene was where the red pin is on the North Mars Street. She was last seen there at 3 a.m. Her daughters, uh, one of her daughters described seeing her or noticing her at 12:30 a.m. that night on August 5th, going to go use the restroom, or what she thought she was going to go use the restroom, and she must have left out the front door from her speculation. But and then there was another sighting. The Charlie Project one describes and this is again another one where I couldn't find other corroboration from it, but a friend of hers either witnessed the murder or witnessed her being attacked in or around uh, 3 a.m. Walking there um, on the 16th Avenue. Actually, that very and that's just a suggestion from Google on the walking there on that 16th Northeast 16th Avenue, if I'm not mistaken. Seen somewhere near 2 a.m. or 3, um, and um, and then she's found 3.2 miles away at that activity center or the Y North Branch Y there. And exactly, Sensei. Exactly. Let me see. There are a lot of cases where media have stated women who are murdered are claimed as prostitutes, and they weren't, even if they were. Why should that be assumed? It's damaging. It's very damaging. Um, and I don't know if I guess they're going off of the clothing found, and I think the daughters seem to think the daughters indicated that she did have some issues with substance abuse and things like that, but that's no excuse. And this is still somebody's mother, and this is uh, someone who laughed, cried, is a sibling, is a daughter, um, and yeah, and when they're not taken seriously, look at what's going on around too. There's other murders. I'm not saying they're necessarily connected, but there's other murders in this north region of Amarillo within a 2-month period. And that's um, part of that. And that's the word. Yeah, you're exactly right, Sensei, with um, the word stigma. I was going to use it, that the word stigma that's used to really, and that stigma can follow through to an investigator. I'm not saying that that's the case here, but it could follow through to, especially in the 90s or the 80s, the 70s, a lot of dismissals uh, of that. But look, this also goes on into um, a societal problem and things that are going on within there, whether it's dealing with poverty, whether it's and uh, um, dealing with race, dealing with um, other things that are going on in the community, social support, and um, who knows? This could be connected to Dorian, the last person to see Gloria, or to the sorry, uh, the person to come across her body, and I couldn't imagine the trauma in that ensuing year, um, for, um, Dorian, and, that's, I just could not imagine what he was going through. There's little information that I was able to pull of what Dorian went through in the coming years, um, and that was his school too. If we go back to there, his school was this elementary school, so I'd imagine it's a place to go play. It's, a place that should be safe, and in this, I mean, we're talking about the decade here too, of Columbine, just tragedy hitting schools, and this is near a school. A YMCA, is nearby. I imagine, I know in and around my neighborhood, there are parks around. Um, I wish I would have shown a more drawn out, broader picture here. There's really nothing in the far side corner, the northwest region of Amarillo here. Uh, you're talking fields upon fields of little to nothing. So the YMCA in the school is on the edge of town. And I could only imagine it's still on the edge of town. If you look up the Google here, there's nothing really. If you look to the north here, up above the up above this location, there's really nothing there. Um, all right. Yes, as an independent woman who had struggles or liked a good time, it's like the attitude of she's wearing a short skirt. She was asking, yeah, that term, asking for it. Fortunately, the PD doing the podcast, the investigators, they did not take that attitude, and they cared about this situation very deeply. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to get to the heart of. Um, is that we've got other cases like Lisk, the Island serial killer case, the Long Island cases up there, where there could be at play a lot of that attitude that you're talking about, um, and it covers a lot more gender identities as well in that case too, or people with varying lifestyles, um, that could have that stigma to it. And I want to fight against that, sensei. I want to fight against that attitude of she was asking for it. That is, it hurts my heart right here to see that, and to see that, especially. Not only when society uh, takes that attitude, um, but that investigators do. Again, not saying that that's the case here, but it could be back in the 90s in that way. And it was the truth for a lot of different cases throughout uh, the Midwest, but all over the nation, really, but also in this area. I wonder if you could find his parents or sibling, if they could share anything about the time after discovery. Absolutely. That would be interesting to look into. I want to return to Dorian's case and really bring awareness for Dorian, because it's been many years now, and um, I really would like to see justice in Dorian's case and Gloria's case, and we could add on Linda, who I'll cover next week as well. Um, and uh, yes, her killer might have had that attitude as well. In that, uh, and coming to think about this, and I might we're gonna go over some newspaper clippings, Sensei. Um, apparently, I was only able to find this through the Charlie Project. The other newspapers didn't mention this, and I haven't had time to pull and go and see what police reports are available. It's still an open investigation, so um, Freedom of Information Act might be difficult to get a hold of. But um, I would love to connect with the family uh, at some point. Really um, connect with Amarillo PD, and it looks like Amarillo PD is really open with their podcasts and stuff. Although I haven't seen a episode since last year, I'm hoping that they'll continue with their um, podcast because it really opens up uh, some doors. But the in the Charlie Project article, it really describes a situation where I don't know. It describes her as a friend who may have seen her attacked in a light colored truck, um, and that night, um, and so um, but and apparently matched the description of a similar vehicle that was seen with Linda and near uh, her location, which I'll describe that in the next uh, the next uh, episode next week. Let's see. Or also contact the YMCA there. Might be locals who remember it. It's now the Charles E. Warford Activity Center, but yeah, I could probably or reach out to their. Uh, um, there might even be. I need to search the archives near my area as well too, um, because there might be an oral history project that covered somebody interviewed already um, about this and look and there may be connections I have of my own to connect up there as well. And so I look forward to that. But there seems to be something here going on, especially if it's true that a similar vehicle and possibly a similar description of an attacker, uh, is found. Um, the detectives in the podcast really described that she was a fighter in this. She had defensive wounds and on her hands, um, and she was or local. Yeah, there's several local Facebook groups. Um, I haven't quite seen her mentions of her in this area, but that I may engage some conversations after this podcast with some of the ones in the area, um, and reach out to them for more information and contacts for the case. And I would love to reach out to even Gloria's um, daughter daughters and the Amarillo PD and really see how open they are to discussion. And since the daughter showed up on their podcast, um, maybe they're open to that. But I could also sense a lot of trauma there. So reaching out, I want to be careful with that. There was a lot of trauma and pain. Was she essayed? And we'll go over some of the newspaper articles, and I don't remember in the podcast the detective actually suggesting that although they talk around DNA, and so and her clothing being moved, and so I wonder about that. There was a article, a newspaper article that indicated that uh, they were testing for that situation when she was sent to Dallas, which is still a lot of times the case out here, where Dallas is where the autopsy is taken care of. The body is moved to Dallas, and the autopsy is conducted there. Don't has There's a lot of drama with medical examiners. I don't have time to go into that necessarily in this podcast, but there's a lot of things about medical examiners in this area and stuff like that. So, and I don't know if that's the case for Amarillo, and stuff like that. So, um, the answer to that is I don't know, or if that was the intention, or uh, if if there was a sexual or I am if there was a sexual motive, if it was a sexually motivated killing. I'm taking that that is the case. Um, and Yeah, and I worry about my pedestrians a lot of times in these areas too, since I am one in a lot of ways. Especially when you have to do it for your own survival. You're going to get food. You're going to work on a daily basis, and there could be unsafe areas on your walk, or areas where you're alone and there's no witnesses, uh, uh, and things like that. So, um, let me see, where am I at? Before I get into the newspapers and things like that, I'll spend the last few minutes here talking about it. Um, did she have a purse with her, or was she robbed? Um, that I don't know. It seemed like the investigators are keeping really close to their chest. The only things that were mentioned was that her wig and other clothing items were found elsewhere. She was only found with a white shirt and a red sock, if I remember. That's how she was found. There was a woman, or I think it was a woman who noticed something out there as she was walking or driving by at 7 a.m., but she didn't think it was a body. And so, and so, but that was the exact location where she was found. So, um, I don't know. That's a good question. If she had her purse on her, there was no mention of a purse. I think we'll take a look at. Let's see. I want to move to. Let me share screen. Let's go to. Um, I want to go to some newspapers here. Let me go back to StreamYard and add the stage. All right. Maybe full screen layout. Are you able to see the screen Sensei. Let's see. Let me go back to my. Let me see if I can. All right. Oh, this is starting out with. Let me let me go back to where I can navigate. Sorry, I'm still getting used to the. Um, this is from ABC 7 Amarillo. That's fine. I'll read it out here. This is where it gets a little bit strange. There's an article where her husband is actually jailed for an assault. I think a few weeks or something before that. Um, uh, so let me go real quick to. All right, I'm going to read this from Globe News. Children playing in a city park made a gruesome discovery Tuesday afternoon: the body of a woman. Investigators believe Gloria Ann Covington, 45, of Amarillo, died sometime after 3 a.m. in Hilltop Park, which is that school park, I think, instead of that Heinz Memorial. Said Lieutenant Ed Smith of Potter Randall Special Crimes Unit. The park is at the intersection of Lipscomb and Northwest 18th Avenue, northwest of the north side of the YMCA. Some children found, which is Dorian and his friends, found Covington's body lying in the middle of the park about 1 p.m. Tuesday. So she was found about 1 p.m. Smith, he said a woman later told police she saw something lying in the park around 7 a.m., but she did not realize it was a body. Smith said the preliminary cause of death was stabbing, but she did not release information on the weapon believed used. And the detectives in the podcast declined to do that as well. Covington last was seen about 3 a.m. Tuesday walking about the 1600 block of North Mars Street. Smith said uh, she was wearing a white t-shirt, black jeans, white tennis shoes, and a wig. She was 5'3" and weighed 130 pounds. Smith said her body was partially clothed when found, and the rest of Covington's clothes were nearby. Investigators are asking anyone who saw Covington early Tuesday morning contact the Amarillo Police Department. And this is where it says Covington's body will undergo an autopsy in Dallas, and whether she was SA'd. Covington's death marks Amarillo's third homicide in the last 2 weeks. I said 2 months earlier, but this says 2 weeks. All were in North Amarillo. And it goes on to mention the other victims. Um, on July 28th, Jeremy Blaine, who was, yeah, and Cassandra Campbell, who both shooting victims. So that would be the difference between the two. And I wonder, one doesn't have a date on it. Um, I wonder, this is probably before Linda's, so there may have been three others. So Linda would be three after that. I'm gonna go back to um this is where it gets a little strange for me here. You'll have to tell me what you think, Sensei. Here, the wife of a man jailed in assault found dead in Amarillo Park, and I guess this is written near the time. The wife of a man jailed in an assault on uh, a Catholic priest was found dead in Hilltop Park in Tuesday afternoon. Gloria Ann Covington's Amarillo. Um, when you read these, could we Google Sheet view from the road? Oh, that's interesting. Let me see. Let me see if I can do that, Sensei. Let me see. I'll pull. let me let me pull it up on my tablet. And I know I had these open. No, no, I like the interaction, Sensei. Oh, here we go. Okay. I actually have it pulled up right here. And so let me go back to StreamYard. Where's my let me go back to stop sharing. Let me go back here. Uh, and let me pull up. Oh wait, I have it pulled up already. All right, sweet. Let me change to share tab. Let me see. Tell me uh if you see it. Let me see. It hasn't shown up on my secondary screen yet. Are you able to see it, Sensei? Let me refresh my secondary screen. Oh, I have to add it to the stage. Ha, there we go. How about now? I see it on my secondary screen now. Okay, okay. I think yes. All right. Great. All right. And let me see. All right. All right. So let me go through. This kind of has a description of the crime as well, but it kind of gets interesting. All right. The wife of a man jailed in an assault on a Catholic priest was found dead near Hilltop Park, which I believe to be this over here. And I don't know if you can see my cursor. I'm gonna have to. Oh, there we go. Over in the left hand side, or the west side of it. Gloria Ann Covington, Amarillo's third homicide victim in less than 2 weeks, last seen live walking alone early Tuesday morning. About 1 p.m. Tuesday afternoon, children playing at Hilltop uh, Park found Covington stabbed and partially clothed body sprawled on the grass. Um, Investigators believe Covington, 45, of Amarillo, was stabbed to death sometime after 3 a.m. in the park, said Lieutenant Ed Smith. And this is pretty much the same thing, at Hilltop Park in the intersection of Lipscomb and Lipscomb Northwest 18th Avenue, northwest of North Side of the uh, YMCA. So that makes me think that it's up towards 20th Avenue if it's the northwest side of the of that is where she was found. Maybe in this uh area up in here where this field of grass is above the elementary school. I don't know if that is the location. I'm just taking a guess that that might be the because that seems to be the northwest side. It says of the YMCA, so I'm thinking maybe over here on this side, maybe. I don't know. Uh, could be anywhere in the north location. Oh, go to the street view. Uh, whoop. This is 20th Avenue. I could imagine children playing out here, and I'm guessing let's see, the school. There's a residential area. I'm guessing that's the school right there, and the YMCA is over here. And this so looks like my area of the country. So you're gonna see these large fields, almost barren. Um, and what time of the year is this? This is in August. It might be a little bit more green, or just like this, depending on rain. If there's not a lot of rain, I don't see a lot of leaves on the trees, so I'm thinking maybe this Google picture is in winter. Uh, but sometimes when it's dry and stuff like that, it could be like this at all. Okay, I'm not used to Sensei, if this is going wild, it's because I'm not used to directing the street view side of it. Uh, but this is kind of where here's another view I think that will have the school and the YMCA kind of in the area. So there would be uh there would be the YMCA to the left and the school to the right. Thank you, Sensei. I appreciate the encouragement. So where was I? Yeah, Smith said a woman later told police she saw something lying in the park around 7 a.m., but she did not realize it was a body. Covington was seen about 3 a.m. walking the 1600 block of North Mars Street. So if I go, let's go out and oh, I already have North Mars Street. Let me let me try to get it to refresh. It's getting slow on me. Just a second. Let me see if I can redo it. 1600. North Mars Street, Amarillo. All right. All right. Let me scroll. That is the 1600 block. All right. So she's seen somewhere on the 1600 block. Let's go down to Street View. Oh, wow. North Mars Street. So in here. Boy, this could be just down the street from me. That's how much this looks like my area and stuff like that. So, uh, and not somewhere where I typically think, at 3 a.m. to see somebody walking down there. So let me go back out to. So she's seen in this area, and if I do the direction just like I showed earlier, um, directions to from the Charles, you're going to see that 3.2 miles from and an hour walk at least to get from that location. Although we're thinking maybe there might be a vehicle involved in this case. Um. So, okay. So Smith said Covington's body was partially clothed when found, and the rest of her clothes were nearby. Smith confirmed that Covington's was the wife of Robert Earl Covington, 41, who had been in the Potter County Detention Center since his arrest on Friday. So it must have been he was arraigned Monday after being charged with the July 18th attack and robbery of Reverend Francis Crow, a 79-year-old priest at St. Martin de Porres Church on 1501 North Adams Street. So that is, I wonder if it's still a church. Yeah. So this case gets really, so, you know, let's see. Let's get out of that and just go to 1501 North Adams Street, Amarillo. Okay. Well, that's not too far away from the activity center actually. Wow. Oh my goodness. St. Martin's Catholic Church. What did it call it in here? St. Martin de Porres. Okay. And it's just a hop, skip, and a jump. Yeah, what is that? 3 or 4 blocks away from where she was found, maybe? 4 or 5 blocks over to the northwest. Let's see what kind of distance we're talking about. Let's see. Directions. So what are we talking about? Half mile? So St. Martin's Catholic Church. So in July 18th, her husband apparently attacked and robbed a 79-year-old priest at St. Martin's. Or at least he was arraigned on it. Investigators are asking anyone who saw Gloria Covington on Tuesday morning contact Amarillo Police Department. Her body was scheduled to undergo an autopsy, in Dallas. Yeah, this is just, wow, I wonder where 600 block of, okay, so we've got some other victims here. Well, this is just, this is just quite a bit of, just to think here, July 18th to August, that's just a month or a few weeks before. That's just bizarre to me. Bizarre. And I don't know what to make of it. I think Sensei, you might could be a revenge thing. Mm, I don't know if this vehicle. It would depend if this vehicle is. Um. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a. Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Sensei. Maybe I'll do that for next week's, like Linda's really kind of make a timeline and kind of picture where these victims are. Like one is the 2400 block of Oak Drive. I might have to 2400 Oak Drive, Amarillo. Wow, up on the other side of the 287, but not far away. Not really far away. I don't know what the circumstances of that one was. What is the 600 block of North Washington Street? Well, funny that you mentioned that. Funny that you mentioned that. Uh, that because I think it's in the Charlie Project. Let's go over there really quick because that's a good thing. I wonder if any of the victims knew each other. Because the Project seems to indicate that Linda. Um, uh, Let me go to Charlie Project real quick first. Let me see. Because, and since you can't, let me go. let me go where it this is really about Dorian. The Charlie Project is about Dorian, but it has a lot of details about Gloria Ann Covington and Linda Jackson. Um, see, let me go down. Dorian was one of the children who discovered the body of Gloria Ann Covington in August 1997, more than a year prior to his disappearance. Dorian was playing in Hilltop Park in Amarillo with friends when they came across Covington's remains behind the YMCA building. She had been stabbed to death. Covington's friend witnessed her murder and was assaulted herself during the crime. She said that Covington was attacked inside a light-colored pickup truck before her murder. Linda Gale Jackson was killed 1 month after Covington's death. Witnesses reported that she entered a vehicle similar to the truck involved in Covington's case. Both of these homicides remain unsolved. A friend of the victims was beaten by an unidentified uh, Caucasian man in September of 1998. Hmm. Closer to when Dorian went missing. She said her attacker had red hair, pulled in a ponytail, blue eyes, and a mustache. The victim stopped at Dorian's mother's residence for assistance after the incident. She said that Dorian was home at the time and was seen by the suspect. The victim claimed that the assailant threatened to harm her again in the future. She believes that the individual may be involved in Dorian's case. Um, a sketch of the man posted in this case summary. Ooh. Oh, yeah, I've seen. Okay, I saw that. Let me go ahead and share the Charlie Project one. Let me go back to. This is quite scary. Yeah, it's a quite scary story. When I started, and I had first just started with Dorian and was just going to cover Dorian and then move to a different town. But then when all this was so connected, or just was bizarre to me, it was a bizarre story. I decided to go ahead and continue with Gloria's unsolved case, and it looks like I'm going to continue with Linda's, and maybe I'll go through and maybe do a series through this with Amarillo. Let me real quick. I'm still getting used to StreamYard there, Sensei, with this. So if it seems disjointed or something like that, that's and for my viewers. Let's see. Stop. Oop, share screen. Okay. So the assailant, I'm taking the assailant. I don't know. Let's see if it will come up here. Oh, I have to share it. I have to add it to the stage. Oop, nope. Remove. Add stage. There we go. Sorry, this will take a moment. There we go. And let me go back to this is age progression of Dorian, and then the attackers. Let's see. Or the alleged assailant. Let me move in, zoom in. And the assailant, I'm thinking, is this sketch to the right of the age progression of Dorian Thomas. But you can see here that this is all really bizarre um uh and it just made me want to look up kind of the crime statistics for Amarillo and kind of see. And I wonder uh how it how it is faring since the 90s, what it's like now. I've been up to Amarillo several times. The tricky thing about these places sometimes is um especially in the panhandle, a lot of times it can look, I wouldn't want to use the word idyllic because it's dusty, sometimes barren, but you don't necessarily feel like you're in any danger. And so uh it could seem like a pleasant little small town, but then there's a lot of, in the background, under an underbelly of a lot of things going on, and drug trafficking, some human trafficking, and things like that. So you get a false sense of exactly, a false sense of security, and in 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 that, and so it's one of those that I kind of really wanted to bring attention to a lot in this um in in this kind of like um in this area, and really bring attention to different things that go on in this area, and how justice kind of gets overlooked in some realms, and some of the crimes here get overlooked, and things like that. So let me see, I wonder if the perp went to that school because whoever it seems comfortable with that being a dumping ground. Yeah, and I think the Linda's, I don't have the address of it. It seems to be a little bit maybe north of that school area, maybe, and in a very desolate, dirt road, and I think that's where, if I'm not mistaken, where her clothes, the detective in the podcast seemed to indicate that it was found 200 to 300 feet, not yards, feet, from the location of the other, homicide. And so, yeah, it seemed whoever it was seemed comfortable. And I don't know what to do with how close, the assault on the Catholic priest and that Gloria's husband was involved with it. I don't know what to make of it. Really don't know what to do with that, um, or what questions to really ask about the the assault just a few weeks before her murder. I don't know whether to go down the road of, could this be revenge? I didn't hear that in the investigators, but they did keep kind of tight-lipped. They didn't talk about persons of interest necessarily. They didn't even talk about this vehicle that seems to be mentioned in the Charlie Project. Um, so that would be one of the questions that I have is, and where did the Charlie Project get that information? Um, uh, and is that in a police report somewhere? Is that in a newspaper somewhere? Who is saying this? And so I found limited. I have a newspapers.com thing, but I haven't gone into an archive that I have available to me where it has a lot of Texas newspapers. I haven't really done a deep dive into that. Um, Maps, timelines, motive for assault, um, um, money for other crimes with a similar vehicle. Yes, uh, SA offenders, things like that, to kind of go over and try to understand what's going on with that. Um, yeah, and I don't know if there's a connection with the church in any way, or is this a place where, is this where the food bank was? Because you have a lot of churches that have a food bank. I do not know. Um, is this, that we mentioned earlier that she would go to get food for? Is this where that takes place? Uh, um, did they suddenly stop or look for arrests at that time? Those are good questions, Sensei. That is very good question. Uh, whether whether that happened, or if or if they suddenly stop for a time. But it seems like noteworthy that quite a few newspaper articles and even the Charlie Project one mentions how um, how that there had been several within a few weeks, period, and um, that's concerning to me in a lot of ways, and that they remain unsolved. Um, I don't know if we're looking for a serial offender. Um, if they're, yeah, just like the common things um, that you are suggesting there, Sensei. I hear this even with the Zodiac killer. Why did they stop? Or we thought that BTK also with that had a long time cooling period. Um, I wonder even with like the Rex Heuermann and the Lisk case if there are something of that. A life situation, they're dead, they're in prison. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on if this person has already been caught for another crime. Could be. Or they could be out on the street right now. They could be in my area where I'm not entirely too far away. Um, and matter of fact, there was a for Dorian's case, um, there was here not too far away in a canyon, small boy's remains, and they thought that maybe it was Dorian's. It was found a few years ago, and they thought that it might be Dorian's, but it turned out, I don't think it ever turned out to be Dorian's. And so, um, I final thoughts really of this. Let me see. I think I went through all the different. Yeah, my final thoughts here. Oop, uh, well, let's go with Sensei's here. The new technology with vacuum thing. Yeah, with trace fibers. Can they retest sample? Um, in the podcast, the lead detective on it, um, Renfield, I think his name is Renfield, said that he's working with the Texas Rangers and they have sent DNA material to them. And at the time, but this was 2 years ago, I guess, in 23, um, that Texas Rangers agreed to that they had agreed to take up Gloria's uh, the investigation of the forensic side of it, and he had submitted the other unsolved cases that we're going to talk about as well there, and she was in one of those that they could move forward with pursuing. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Uh, um, I don't know how far along, and it doesn't appear like there have been any updates on the Texas Rangers uh, uh, thing. It doesn't seem like whoever did it was thinking about hiding stuff. That's right, because he left behind the wig, and the clothing, and maybe transported it to another place, or the assault happened uh, near the place and the body taken to the school. Why you would do that, I don't know. I guess in the 90s you wouldn't have to worry about cameras in that area, possibly. I don't know. Um, I don't know. Yeah, and since she was walking at night, unless they knew her routine, um, I'm not sure how organized it is. Oh, Mr. Steve. Yes. And I am not Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve, we haven't seen Mr. Steve in a while. I used to mod, and both since I used to mod on Mr. Steve's channel, True Crime Web. Mr. Steve um, is a former crime scene investigator, and he would be able to pull out those timelines and forensic evidence and kind of tell you what police are up to. I am not. um, I uh, I'm a librarian. Um, and I'm interested in true crime. I'm a lot of times interested in the human part of it and telling people stories, but I am not a forensic investigator. Although sometimes I can take those uh, and try to make as much sense as a layperson can with it. It's sad because these people are people with families and they deserve justice. Absolutely. And one of the daughters in the case, she says, I don't know if I can return to Amarillo because of this, until this is solved, until I have some closure. And it seemed like she was hesitating to say what she really wanted to say about Amarillo, but imagine, um, um, I couldn't imagine what she must be going through right now, and reliving this as well. Yeah, that's a good point. Was she killed? I couldn't get that indication from the newspapers or from the detective podcast, whether the incident happened, whether the murder happened there at the school, or was she at another location and then transported there? And I do not know. I don't know if there's enough information to really say that, but her clothing was found in a different area and the within a very close proximity to another homicide that would take place a month after hers. Yeah, exactly. It seems like there's too many coincidences to make it not a coincidence. And I'm not a big coincidence sometimes because, and really, like I said here, like with like wild theories and stuff like that. Um, uh, I'm not a big because sometimes, yeah, I'll see content creators and they'll take the zodiac where everybody's uncle. There's so many coincidences. They look like the zodiac. They match the description. They were at the same place as a victim here and stuff. So sometimes I'm a little bit cautious about going down all the because this is a small world sometimes, and you can find all sorts of coincidences. But here, the coincidences that are actually connected to some sort of criminal activity are wow. Are wow. I'm trying to figure out how to bring my face back on this stage. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I got to the point where I was missing my face. I don't know if that's a narcissist thing. Uh, but sounded like she didn't have clothes on her bottom half. Yeah, which might suggest, or in the middle of, but yeah, which might occurred or was a part of it. And were her clothes taken off before she was fatally attacked or after? I don't know if it's connected to sex work. I don't know. Um, SA could is this uh something that went wrong with with a yeah, with a client? I don't know. Or is this, like you said earlier, Sensei, sometimes uh, mistaken, women being mistaken for, and something else is going on here? I don't know. Um, mm, um, I have no idea how to answer those questions, but there's a lot of forensic things that the investigators are keeping close to their chest, and I wonder. Um, uh, there's a good question too. Did she have a lover with her husband in jail? I guess he was arraigned. I don't know how long he was in jail uh and things like that. Um no, those are good, great questions to be asking, Sensei. And I've always appreciated that on no matter which channel you're on, Sensei. Um, I always appreciate um, the questions that you put forth in any live, and so I consider it an honor that you're in my chat. I'm sorry there's not much of an audience right now, but I'm enjoying talking to you, and hopefully in replays, some of these questions could really be um, really some of the answers. Maybe uh, somebody could really answer those or bring some light uh, from the area or are connected to the area. Sometimes this area gets really small because there's not a big population here. And so I want, um, oh, yes, and you're overseas. Yeah. Uh, I'm coming across the pond here in a while, next month. So I'll have to connect with you later on Discord or something, Sensei. Um, and and if I can find out how to add a wrench to you, Sensei, I'll add a wrench to you. And so 320. Um, I'll hit you up in Discord, Sensei, and tell you a little bit about my plans and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll be here in a little while. I'll be giving a presentation across the pond. And so I'm not exactly sure where you're at either, but um, I know that you're in way over in a different time zone and stuff like that. So, well, thank you, Sensei, for the thoughts. Those were great final thoughts and questions that really I had. And I really, my heart, I just want to say my heart goes out to Gloria and her family, the three daughters that were on the podcast. Um, and check it out. I'll put the links in the description to the podcast. And oh, and I also have a link there. Yeah, there's the Charlie Project, and the podcast episode there as well. And I'll put it up on Discord to the slides for you, Sensei, and stuff on Discord, so that you have access to it. Um, Mine does too. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Make sure you link it. All right. Yeah, I'll make sure to link it, and I'm gonna try to figure out how to give you a wrench there, Sensei. I haven't messed with the YouTube. I'm still new at this. So if this podcast seems a little strange uh, and disjointed a little bit, it's just because I'm new. I'm getting used to the technology, and well, I got one hooked. All right. Well, I look forward to even more. I'm gonna try. I'm probably gonna do this time period. I tried it on a Saturday, and I'm trying to find the time. So hopefully this time um uh will work. And I think if you click my name, you can get the wrench. Put I well when I w- well oh probably when I'm in YouTube maybe. I wonder if I can do that from. Let me see. All the options I see, Sensei, is to report, remove you, or put you in timeout, or hide you. Uh, I don't know exactly how to do it. I'll have to YouTube it, uh, and I'll make you a because I need a mod anyway. If you're willing, I didn't even ask you if you were willing. So, but I think if you're here. I'll give you a wrench because I've seen you mod in other channels. So you don't have to commit to anything. Just if you are in, you can have a wrench. So uh, and but yeah, so my heart goes out to Gloria and her family. Oh my god, Sensei. Boy, I'm trying to end this podcast in some way. Just don't slap, spank, or pinch me. Okay. All right. That's a deal. Uh, that is a deal. We none of that going on. Again, my heart just goes out to Gloria and her family and those affected by this and the other victims that we'll be covering. And I hope for justice for Gloria and for Dorian, and that when we really think about uh, situations more than just true crime content, that we can really maybe pause for a moment. And I know the expression "stop" and just um, stop and really. I love the lavender fields that are around here. And to me, that's just where I want to take a moment. Sometimes um, you see those fields and you reflect on life and death and and the things that we all humans go through. And I really wanted my channel to be something that stops for a moment. We can laugh, we can cry, but we can do it in a lavender field and really um, realize that um, these victims are not props for a true crime content channel. And as you can see here, as you can see here, um, I'm not here for clickbait or to get a million followers. If I wind up just talking to Sensei and Arctic over here, then that would be fine by me. But I hope it does raise some awareness and reaches out to people in the Amarillo area, and maybe we can get this solved. Not claiming I'm going to be the one to solve it because I'm not Mr. Steve, and but I can bring awareness. I can revisit people's stories, and I can get their name out there and make sure that they're not forgotten. Exactly, real people who deserve justice and to be remembered. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the evening. Enjoy your Labor Day. And remember all of those who work hard, just like Gloria did. Um, uh, the job she had that her daughters mentioned, she was a cook in a nursing home, and that's a lot of hard work. And it was um, so take some time out tomorrow to really appreciate how society works together and those who bring you your food, who prepare your food, who take care of you in medical um, when you're sick and in the hospital, and uh, when you take your garbage out and it magically disappears and goes somewhere. You know. Thank you very much, Sensei. All right, go find a lavender field and have a good night.